Hello, Tom Levecki here with the New Theory Podcast. Today we have a very special guest joining us from Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, by the name of Lou Raiola, who is the CEO and founder of Force Multiply LLC. They're a social impact firm, which we'll get into that. Lou, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure having great people on like yourself. So with that being said, we'd like to start off with, tell us about your formative years and what makes you you.
Well, I'm definitely a native Minnesotan. Grew up in the St. Paul area of Minnesota. Played a lot of sports in my youth. Anything I could get the bat and ball hands on, and I would say that, coupled with growing up in an Italian community on the east side of St. Paul, that really was a great community, family environment. I would say the formation of my character and who I am today and my values, go back to that upbringing. Went to school, stayed here in Minnesota for college. And then soon after coming out of college, after about a year and a half of corporate America, I set out on the journey to become an entrepreneur, and some 30 years later, we're having an amazing business, and we're really excited about where we are today and in our positioning.
Nice. So you and I chatted offline a little bit, and I'm always fascinated with the entrepreneurship journey, and I'm also even like further or deeper obsessed with where the cultural aspect comes in. But one thing I was surprised at is you were saying that Minneapolis actually has a decent Italian-American population. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and more specifically to St. Paul. So I think my grandparents both came in through New York, came in from Italy through New York, and found their destination to Minnesota, where there was a thriving railroad business that was coming on the scene, and primarily because of the agricultural and farming that's here in Minnesota, and being able to move product to each coast fairly efficiently, being centrally located. So a lot of the Italians came in through New York, and destination became Minnesota to work on the railroads.
Okay, so good work ethic, blue collar parents, kind of build the foundation. You're a good Italian kid, first generation or second generation. You go to college, you kind of do your own thing. You go into corporate and you learn a little bit. What was your first entrepreneurial opportunity? What's the first company you started?
Well, it's very similar to what we're doing today. I was inspired by a book that I'd read right out of college called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. And if you're not familiar with it, Tom, it was written by a gentleman by the name of Mark McCormick, who founded a company called IEG, International Events Group, and that was his first clients were Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and Gary Player, and he was kind of on the forefront of sports marketing. And as a kid who grew up playing sports, played 2 sports in college, I was like, holy cow, I need to be in sports marketing. And so the first opportunity I had was actually to work with a frozen pizza by the name of Totino's Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And we put together a unique promotion for them that really I can look back to today, and it still resonates today in terms of what we're doing and the adoption of corporate America to what we're doing with social impact. But it was a really unique opportunity for us to work with Pillsbury and the National Football League as our first partner. So we're 30 plus years old. So it all goes back to that first experience.
Okay, so there's a few parts here, and so to give a little color, I have a digital marketing agency, X Factor Media, which owns New Theory. The New Theory is its own platform. Again, we believe heavily in millennials and millennial topics, so we're bet pretty heavy there. But one thing we haven't done yet, and for many reasons, which we don't have enough time in this podcast to go through, but I haven't reached out to big brands and I haven't reached out to corporate yet in terms of advertising, etc. And again, I want to do it when I'm quite ready and when I feel the platform's there. So how did you go from being kind of a B2B small business guy to knocking on the door of the NFL and Pillsbury? Because that's a pretty big leap. And give us how you did it And then what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to get some bigger checks?
Well, again, remember now we're going back to the late 1980s, and so the opportunity that we had is, the brand, the properties, NFL, Major League Baseball, all the major sports properties were obviously at a much younger stage, not as evolved as they are today. And we had a situation where even back then, of course, the passion that fans have for sports obviously was strong back then, and obviously even stronger now. So we had a brand that we were doing some local work with in pizza, the pizza brand Totino's.
Yeah.
But the opportunity was, in general, you can connect the dots that consuming pizza and watching football on television or going to a game, kind of correlates. And so our outreach was, what if we could take this frozen pizza, become the official frozen pizza of the NFL, and look at the opportunity to take the marketing of the pizza in stores, the packaging, and what if that became a value proposition to market the game? Not only cash, but the marketing side. And so that's what struck up an opportunity with the NFL. We happened to find that they were getting ready to launch a trading card, of all things, Tom. They were, back in that time frame, licensed trading cards was a huge business, and royalties and such. But the NFL wanted to launch their own brand, and so they loved the idea of the packaging of Totino's, a trial sample set inside of each package, and then a cross-promotion across all their stadiums would be a great way to launch the trading cards. And it became a great partnership.
Oh, wow.
And from there, what really kind of ties to what we're doing today, because of the social impact, started with that campaign. The quarterbacks of that era, Boomer Esiason, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, these stars of the game became the featured trading cards that we created into a calendar and a poster that, for the sale of the calendar and poster through Totino's, the net proceeds went to benefit cystic fibrosis. Specifically, Boomer Esiason and his son Gunnar with cystic fibrosis, and their commitment to promote the campaign became our partner. So we did our first cause marketing activation with the NFL and Totino's back in the late 80s. So that, if you jump forward to today, you can look at that and say, probably more than any point in at least my 3 decades of time, quote unquote celebrity influencers ours were of course the quarterback, but typically celebrity influencers working with brands and nonprofits is what really is an opportunity for real social change.
Okay, so social impact marketing, social responsibility, social entrepreneurs. These are all buzzwords, and specifically for entrepreneurs. So you actually did this kind of before it became cool, right? So a few things. Okay, so the first is, it makes sense. There's a comment first. It makes sense because a study was done. 81% of millennials are identified as giving back to some type of cause, or would patronize a said company or business if they were related to a cause. So that makes sense, and you're in the right space, right? But for some reason, and I want you to walk me through this, when I hear social impact, cause marketing, it sounds kind of bullshitty to me. So maybe if it's okay, I want you to think why it may sound bullshitty, right? And then number 2 is if you can defend your position as to why it's not bullshitty. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your perspective. I respect it. Yeah. And I do think that there's a fair amount of misuse, if you will, or overstatement of it that it's out there. But let's put it in this context. We have always believed that we are in the cause marketing space, not in the philanthropy space. Philanthropy, by definition, is giving with no expected return. Cause marketing is intended to be and defined as mutually beneficial. So we, working with brands, working with celebrities and nonprofits, we start with, how do we make this mutually beneficial for all parties? Do well by doing good. And we believe very strongly, Tom, that government and politics don't drive social change. We believe, especially in this environment today, that the real game changers are, and the funding sources are the brands. And we believe that celebrity influencers are the advocates. They are the game changers. And technology has enabled those, both the brands and the influencers, to be in a position to connect directly with their tribes, their fan bases, to bring that change. So we believe properly funded, the right authentic influencers, and then you bring in the nonprofits who are the subject matter experts and their donors and their supporters. That trifecta, if you will, the convergence of those three working together with very specific goals, we believe can bring substantial change.
Okay. What is a different? Okay, I'll buy into that. For example, what is an example of a cause marketing campaign? So you have a campaign, you put it together, you have influencers lined up, you collect the check, you pay your influencers, you roll out the campaign. But what makes it a cause marketing? Is it the number? Is it a percentage of proceeds goes towards its charity? Is it kind of gray area? What makes cause marketing versus being a traditional marketing effort?
Yeah, great question. So let me again. The definition for us is mutually beneficial. So we analyze, our look at when we unite these three constituent groups is what are the objectives for each of the organizations. And so I'll give you an example. We worked with the multiple brands on a promotion with a cause marketing campaign with General Mills.
Okay.
They had a long history supporting philanthropically Feeding America. But they wanted to look at a cause marketing campaign, and what we did is we brought in the music industry. We partnered Big Machine Label Group, home of Taylor Swift, Rascal Flatts, Florida Georgia Line, Van Perry, Thomas Rhett, numerous very great country music artists. And we looked at their natural, authentic opportunity to do things around food banks, supporting them with their platform, their voice, in the music industry, and we align them with General Mills and their partner Feeding America to come together in a cause marketing campaign called Outnumber Hunger. And what we did is put together an opportunity to bring the recording artists into the retail grocery stores via all the packaging of General Mills products, their point of sale, and of course all the marketing of their retail partners, Walmart, Target, and others. So the marketing value proposition to the music artists and the label was very substantial. The value proposition for General Mills to have the recording artists as influencers out promoting via their various channels, a call to action to their fan base to support this cause. And the way they did that is on the package, there was a call to action for the consumer looking at their Cheetos box to go to a website and enter a code that is on that package. And each time they entered that code with their local zip code, 5 meals were released to that local food bank. So they had an impact right there in their local market to affect a family that was food insecure. And of course, the benefactor of it was Feeding America. So I go back to the definition, mutually beneficial. The recorded artist, the label, had substantial marketing and promotion support. The brands sold more product than ever in a combined promotion, and Feed America, and ultimately the families received, we're up over 40 million meals have been generated through the past few years with this campaign. So that would be a successful cause marketing campaign.
All right, so that makes sense. The brands fit the bill, they get the message out, there's a social impact, there's a business impact, and everybody wins. I always kind of wondered this. So when you hire talent for this, right? Let's say it's for a brand, but it's also for a cause. Do celebrities tend to relax their fees, or their fees are their fees? What happens in those situations? I always kind of wondered that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Tom, and I would say it's evolving. Our approach is, again, to start with objectives for, let's say, on the talent side. What are they trying to accomplish? What are they authentically engaged in? We try to match talent that has an authentic engagement. So for the brands, candidly, we start at a zero budget for the talent. We don't always pay. We pay in some cases, talent, to be engaged, but we really look for those authentic engagements where the trade-off might be the promotion, and the marketing value to maybe move albums, market a new book, look at, what are the objectives, again, back to the talent side. So, music industry, we have had great adoption to that. We've had great success in that area with the recording artists. Athletes, it's been a little bit more challenging because their performance or their product, if you will, is on the field versus a label or an album. So in some cases, there has been compensation to the athlete. The social media world, the online video creators, where their product is their social media posts, that is where we're seeing less adoption to trade, if you will, or kind of leaning in for the cause. And there is definitely an economics, and it's a fast developing category of online influencers, and it's fairly new for us, Tom. To be very candid with you, a fairly new constituency that we're dealing with and talent that we're dealing with. But we're really excited to bring our history and see where that best matchup is. So it's across the board, but we approach it from authenticity and have everyone lean in.
Okay. Let's talk about numbers. How big is your company? How many employees do you have?
We have 8 employees, and then we deploy a unique strategy that I've developed over the years, which is operate lean and mean and have dozens and dozens of experts and the best quality talent and strategic alliances, and work with them on our various business opportunities.
All right. So, and I'm assuming you're a private company, right?
Private, yes.
Okay. If you could, whatever you're comfortable with, maybe give a range of your annual top line revenue.
Yeah, I'd say we're 5 million and under.
Okay, so you do run pretty lean because let's just throw 3.5 million at it, right? At 8 employees, my ratio, as I understand, is you got to be at about 200,000 per employee. So you do run very lean and you run very efficiently. So that's good. Yeah. And then I'm a digital marketer, right? So are you a digital marketer? Let's just call things what they are. Are you kind of a cloaked digital marketer, or how do you reach these people?
Well, first of all, the answer is no. We're not a digital marketer, but
okay.
But if you could just define when you say reach these people, who are you speaking of?
Well, so you hire us, right? X Factor. We will do SEO, PPC, branded content, some social media, and that's a digital suite to reach a potential client, right? But you do it a little differently, and I'm kind of fascinated by it. So how do you do it differently versus maybe traditional digital marketing?
Well, first of all, understand to understand our business position, we're very much a boutique. So we exist to unite like-minded people and organizations, to come together in their collective effort on a specific topic. So to start with that, we're catalysts. So what we do is we're really good at understanding the celebrity influencer side of the business, right? How do we take a recording artist and match them up with a brand and a nonprofit in the simplest terms? So we work very closely with brands. And so brands look to us as somewhat, we're not an ad agency, we're not a PR firm, and we're not a social media company, but what we are is we're deeply connected, with the celebrity influencers, and we have a really long and deep history in understanding sports and entertainment. So they look at us as an entity that can partner and bring together the right influencers. Now, how do we go market? Tom, your business is the social media side as one element. We go to market through marketing campaigns, the Outdoor Hunger campaign. We also are an event production company. We produce a lot of events and experiences. And so that would be the second part of the business. Then the third is branded content. What we are not is we are not doing what you do. we actually outsource that and align and work with strategic partners that have those capabilities. So we're in uniting the branded content, celebrity influencer marketing, and events and experiences.
Love it. Now, you won an award, a Streamy Award. What's that?
Actually, we haven't won a Streamy Award, but we're very deeply involved in the Streamy Awards. And the Streamy Awards were founded by a company called Tube Filter, and they had the vision of this online video creator world of social media stars to recognize them for their work, their body of work. And so it's kind of the Academy Awards for online video creators was initiated by Tube Filter and later partnered with Dick Clark Productions to form an annual award show called the Streamy Awards. Take place each year in Los Angeles in the fall. And we're really excited because we have a new partnership with them. And I'd love to tell you about our new event that we're creating with them when the time's right.
Love it. Listen, Lou, I am categorically impressed, and I want to do some business with you because I'm one thing I'm learning now is I want to do business with people that I would like to have dinner with. In the past, I kind of had a church and state mentality where, like, well, I'll take their money, but I may not agree with what they're doing. But I like what you're doing, where you're tying in cause marketing, which is a cause, obviously, and marketing. So there's a bit more. Not just juice, but it's more substantive, you know? What are some of the causes that are important to you and why?
Well, a couple that I can tell you that really jump out for us would be, number one, we're a big fan of Special Olympics. We've worked for the past number of years with Special Olympics International. We are just so impressed with the kids. And they're not only kids, with all the athletes of Special Olympics and really this massive population around the world that unfortunately still today is not included. They're bullied. But the work of this organization started with Eunice Kennedy Shriver, and if you saw the ESPYs the other night, just a profound moment to recognize these athletes as having the same, inspiration, work ethic, commitment. So we're really excited. We do a lot of work with Special Olympics, and it's something that's really near and dear to our entire company. The other one I'd say is Folds of Honor is another group on scale, a smaller group than, let's say, the established Special Olympics. But this organization, started by Major Dan Rooney, former F-16 flight pilot, he recognized, and they as an organization recognized that dependents of fallen and severely wounded soldiers, unfortunately in our country, and it's hard to say, but in our country, 87% of the dependents don't qualify for government-assisted education. And this organization provides scholarships to these very important families, the 1% of the families that really serve our country. And so those would be two that jump out to me right away that were really near and dear to us.
I love it. So Lou, how can well, actually, I do have one last question before we wrap up. If a bigger brand, because millennials are still hard to get to, and if you get to them, you need the right message and you need to be valid, right? So I've been spending a lot of money and time and effort on producing content to build my validity as new theory. So we're one vehicle, right? But if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to reach millennials or more millennials, how would you go about it?
Well, you defined it on the front end. You gave some of the statistics. This is, to us, the most exciting time in our 30 plus years of business because of the millennials and the Gen Zs. They have put a stake in the ground and said that, they believe and they demand that brands not only say something about good, but they stand and authentically deliver on good. They're also the connected generation. So they have the ability to, in real world, real time, react to that, brand, being authentic with it, and also in a positive way to spread that good news. So we look at it and say, you've got a consumer that embraces social good. So if we can identify as a brand and authentically develop a plan, work, authentically with influencers in the areas. And why are influencers important? Because they're in sports, entertainment, and pop culture. And just like, old guys like me, millennials covet and have passion for, sports, entertainment, and all things pop culture in ways beyond our growing up, Tom, because they have so much at their disposal, right? And so if we can connect a brand to the passion of the millennials and the Gen Z, and we can bring in social good that they demand, that's the secret sauce. That's when everybody's really collectively working together. And the beauty of it is, at the end of the day, there's a positive outcome.
Love it, love it, love it. Lou, how can we find you?
You can check us out at force-multiply.com. That's force-multiply.com.
Beautiful. And again, Lou, appreciate your time, and thank you for being on the New Theory podcast.
Thanks, Tom, and have a wonderful day.
Awesome, Lou. That was fantastic. Can you hear me okay?
Again, yep.
Beautiful. That was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have an appetite for this.